Hello and welcome to Your Heart's Path. My name is Faye, and every month we meet in this space to pass on psychic and intuitive messages to support you for the upcoming month. We've got a big month ahead of us. We're going through a pretty intense time as a collective as it is, and I'm going to start today simply by passing on the messages that came initially from this beautiful crow. And I watched this crow symbolically flying quite high in the sky, making a little bit of sound as it moved towards this beautiful landscape and this wonderful scene that opened up with this wonderful bird's eye view of the volcano. Now, the volcano here is something that I believe that we're experiencing collectively within our body. It was a representation, as I read this energy, of a purge that was happening. But they were really emphasizing when I had this conversation with Spirit in regards to some of this information, this kind of rumbling and trembling that's been happening inside of the system. Now, prior to an explosion within a volcano, much kind of like a weather system that brings with it a big storm, through the intuitive being, there can be a sensing of the building that happens before that lava hits the top and actually begins to explode outward. I kind of had this sense that we were watching and feeling this kind of pattern throughout the month of August, where there is a bit of a building and accumulation of energy that can feel challenging at times to hold. Yet this holding is an expanding and almost a stretching of your capacity to be able to hold the truth in your world, in your being. As this comes to the top and we have this big, beautiful purge, what you're going to start to see leave your own being and leave your own life are outdated thoughts, uh, things of repetition that have been preventing your growth, but also ways in which you have perhaps blamed other people or put your power outside of yourself, where you've viewed your experience as something that you are powerless to. So we are purging out in this experience where we have felt powerless, creating space to start to generate in these waves in between a more grounded strength that is here to support your building, your growth, your expansion, and your awakening in a sense that feels more practical, but also in a space where you feel more responsible. And when we're looking at responsibility in this lens, the reason this feels really empowering and kind of settling is because the perception previously is I'm in this situation and there's no way out. I'm at this job and there's no way I'd ever be able to leave. I'm in this relationship and they make me feel. I'm uh, I have this pain in my neck and it's because of you. It's sort of where we've had an experience that has created density, pain, discomfort, distress, even trauma within the system, where we've looked outside of ourselves and haven't been able to go that little bit deeper, which allows for us to actually transform this experience and have a look and see not only what it's been teaching you, but where there's been a sort of an illusion here in this space. This equals a level of freedom, and the responsibility is not something based on the resilience you've been building that you need to shy away from. So I want you to celebrate this experience of purging this month. And you might actually feel that right down to a very physical level. It might come through as a feeling like of a need to eliminate toxins from the system. I can actually see this like through the bowels and things, kind of having some different changes there. So if you are feeling slightly almost like blocked up and then feeling like things are kind of flowing really quickly, I just want you to sort of listen to the subtle signs so as that you know where you are throughout the month, because it almost feels like it can happen, like it can go up and down 3 or 4 times. When you're really present to this purging, you're not criticizing yourself for doing something wrong or being in the wrong space or even being negative. It's just about sitting in that position of the observer while you allow for some of this to move through the system. What we want to be mindful of is that we're not grabbing what is old that is wanting to depart. And in this, the spaciousness gives you this opportunity to start generating what today they're calling warmth. Now, a lot of this energy that is being purged out feels very cold. It feels very frozen. It feels like it's been stuck for a really long time. Almost interesting that we bring like the volcano into this space because it is so hot. But I kind of see this as I go down further and further. It's snowy, it's icy, and in that it can be something that previously perhaps put you into freeze, something you just felt stuck with, something you just felt like I don't know how to transform this, I can't transform this. So, for a lot of you too, this is because you've been applying the tools. You have been in this attitude and working with this intention of, I'm just going to keep going and seeing what happens. And this is a beautiful thread that we've all been working to different levels throughout this year so far. And this is what I would call a breakthrough point. But it's very important to know that when we are purging, it's normal to feel big waves of exhaustion or fatigue. So if you say are running your own business and you have a few quiet days in one of those weeks, I just want you to trust that process and look at it like a little bit of an opportunity to rest and to reset. If you're feeling overworked and you aren't resting in the time that you do have, this is the sort of time where you might sort of find that you wake up with a headache, or there's other kind of virally almost symptoms that can happen when we're purging that might actually invite you to have a day at home here or there, and make some other arrangements with your commitments just to really settle and let this move through the system. I love conversations around grounding, and moving really slowly. I can kind of see that lovely buffalo energy that feels like it wants to, um, if you're finding yourself rushing or needing to get through this process quickly, I too want you to see that like a bit of an illusion. And the slower that you go, the more easily you will see this beautiful information that is leaving your body, creating room for new perceptions to come into that space of warmth. Warmth and this generation of warmth can be quite symbolic. It can be not only in your body and your being, this can be happening through your home. You might notice this in colors of the clothes and things that you're wearing. It might be if you get your hair done, you feel this warmth wanting to come through. I sort of sense that this can be happening in a materialistic sense too. Environments that feel really warm, fireplaces, sort of organic environments. I'm seeing lots of like sandstone and nice kind of polished concrete floors. And there's this lovely sort of like where light is emanated and kind of sinks into the foundations is a really nourishing space to be. So if you don't have an environment like that to visit or to be in or to create internally, create it on a minor scale. It'd be a lovely thing if you have children to make little cubby houses and things at the moment, and almost create these lovely kind of warm spaces, almost like a womb that you can go into and kind of just be in that space of incubation in some sense. But the generation of warmth is this real strong pull for more heart, more love, unity, unconditional love. And this is on a collective scale too. We're seeing this with the duality within war, within people that are really suffering right now, how this can bring out the absolute beauty and the divinity in each and every one of you. And instead of feeling powerless, I really do see where there's this warmth generating and people are genuinely looking for opportunities to contribute positively and start to make changes here on this earth. And this is a part of the awakening. It's a part of seeing people on the other side of the world that are suffering, that you might be feeling inside of your sensing body, that there is an opportunity and there is a perfection that you are sensing this because there is an opportunity here for you to respond. And the challenge with this is that we can get caught up in the grief, in the panic. There is obviously a lot of pain associated with this. It's something we kind of almost can't comprehend, but there is space here. Perhaps this is through donation, perhaps this is through prayer, perhaps this is through calling in angels and other beautiful divine beings that can assist us in this time, with this understanding too that we are sensing some of this in the body, and the purging, if we are not aware, can sort of feel like we get stuck, or we can start to grab onto these experiences and animate them and make them almost replant them. So this fluidity through the system, and I see it really going up like this, up through the central channel, up through, there's this awakening happening. We start to build more light, more energy, more strength as we let go of this darkness, as we let go of this duality and come into a more heart-centered place. So versus trying to pick sides and make things wrong or right and add more story. See if you can find that central part where you can cultivate divinity internally and support this sensation, these feelings, the contraction inside of your system in a way that you know how. And if you don't, it's possibly an opportunity to look at where there are tools that are missing within your toolkit. And I think that that's going to happen inside of the warmth here. Sometimes when we go into these spaces where there is an opening, we look to then, oh, I don't have the tools and the reason, I don't have the tools and the resources to create what I want to create from the space in which I have arrived in. So there is contemplation and conversation around studying. I can see people learning new things right now, and doing so from a commitment that benefits more than just you. I sort of feel like there is an answering to soul contracts here that is coming in for a lot of you. Now, with this elimination piece, I'd love to touch on that again because I feel the elimination is something that has been kind of tugging at us for a little while. A lot of you have been called to cleanse, to detox, to eliminate certain patterns, perhaps even habits, right down to thought forms and um, different, I almost feel like different aspects of your lifestyle that aren't particularly working for you. If that's something you've been aware of for some time, yet you haven't felt like you've had the opportunity or the will to make that shift and change, this is also a time where we can see this lightning strike of intervention coming through, where your life is almost feels like it can be flipped upside down very quickly, with circumstances outside of you that you have no control over, that actually forcibly close a door and open the one that you've up until now had a very gentle invitation to move into. So for some of you, that means that there is a bit of a ripple effect or a cleanup effect that can feel quite challenging and quite traumatic if there aren't tools and support here. So if you feel out of resources, out of support, out of tools, this is a time to reach out, not just to people in my field. I also feel that this is going to be quite busy through the mental health sector. I really do feel like there is gateways opening for sensitive beings that have been unaware of the non-physical, that are being initiated into that awareness within themselves, and they need people to help them bridge the gap. So I see this with body work too, and it's a really nice time to just follow the curiosities of trying these things that bring warmth, that soothe the spirit, because there has been a bit of disturbance here inside of the mind. What we'll notice in this is that there's less resistance to actually seeking help and support. And this doesn't have to be something that's hugely traumatic. This can be things that have been chipping away. So perhaps you've had intentions within your business or wanting a shift inside of your relationship. It's a really nice time to lean on people outside of your immediate kind of network for different threads of information and light and conversations that can come through with people in their own expertise. And I really do see this as a time where shifts can be happening, and because there's this beautiful light and warmth coming through, it's not seen as something that is a failure or like you're going backwards. It's really, you're seeing it for what it is, where movement starts to happen to these stuck and stagnant and icy, frozen, freeze sort of spaces that have been happening within the body. Now, there's been a lot of energy around relationships, and the train's been stopping, or the tracks have been stopping for some. For others, it's been a stop-start experience. For others, there's been a bonding that has taken place through starting a family. There's kind of different levels of commitment that has been happening within relationships, that I'm yet to meet somebody who hasn't had a shift within intimate relationships, even if you are setting the intention to anchor in that partner or to meet that person that you want to spend your life with, that there's been a lot of change again in perception around some of this. But it's almost like a time to catch up with where we're at with some of that stuff. And for some of you, it's a little bit of a reality hit. For others, it's a point of celebration. And for others, there's a process here of grief and letting go that requires a really deep tenderness, but also a soul understanding in order for the healing to be fully experienced and eliminated from, I don't want to say eliminated when it comes to healing, but in some sense, yes, a full letting go. Now, I want some patience when it comes to the letting go, because it's a process where the body, can squeeze a little, and then it needs to fill itself back up and squeeze a little and lift itself back up. And so letting go is not something that just happens in a day or in a night. I don't know who needs to hear that, but it does feel like something. I want you to give yourself permission for the rest of the year to work with this theme if you need to. For others, I think there's also kind of like an emphasis around babies, around conception. It seems to be, and I can see this kind of happening throughout the month, of time for announcements, new pregnancies, births. I feel like this is a really beautiful time, and you can see these beautiful beings that are coming to planet Earth. They're going to feel very special, very sacred, needing lots of protection. It almost feels like they're coming in with this beautiful warmth. If you are going into the birthing space, again, I sort of sense that kind of the purging out can be changing little patterns and things of, who you let into your home, your space, because you thought you should, because you want to include, but really deep down, your truth might be to shut the doors and not see anybody for a month. And they're the sort of places I want to encourage you to go into. And you'll feel the warmth, you'll feel the softening, you'll feel the opening with your heart there. But we do have this kind of feeling in all of this, with the volcano and with the birds that are kind of flying from this bird's eye view perspective. There can be this feeling of destruction, but I want you to watch what happens when the lava comes up and trickles down the side of the volcano and starts to set new structure, new foundation, to change the shape of the land. This is really symbolic as to what is going on right now. So if you're having a tough time, I just want to give you that strength and that reminder that this is part of the awakening, but there is absolute beauty in this, and we can really bring about always that curiosity and that soul perspective that everything is happening for a reason, not as a bypass, but so that we can stay really present and have a look at what this is teaching us and what is forming. And within this co-creation, if you have been in a space where you've had intention to create something new, but you've been out-resourced because you don't have the energy or the vitality, this is a beautiful opportunity to start to generate the energy. And so sometimes that means, if we don't know how to use alchemy or transform energy, come and join my House of Mystics if that's something you want to learn. What has to happen is that the universe, in service to your intention, will start to eliminate parts from your life, eliminate things that are taking up energy, that are wasting your energy, or taking away your power, or you're giving your power to. Let's flip the perspective. You're the powerful one here. Things need to be removed in order to create space where you free up energy in order to generate and create something new. And just like creating a baby, it takes a lot of energy to birth something new into this world. We can't rush that process. We can't force that process. We can't push that process. But if there isn't a conscious letting go that's happening through healing and a transformation of fear into love or unconsciousness into consciousness, where you're freeing up literal energy that you have access to, then this is a space where you have the opportunity to sit in the quiet and generate something new, something more, something different based on your learning here. Well, some of you, it feels like you've actually just been out of resources. So if it's a collection of resources, meaning tools, where you go, okay, I've let go as much as I can, but I still feel fatigued and tired all the time. I'm not fully understanding what it is. Come and see me. I can help you with this. It's a beautiful time for creation. The challenge with this, obviously, is that our sensing bodies are picking up on things that are happening in the world right now that are very destructive and very painful and very hard to digest. But what I want you to see is that this is the reality of where we are vibrationally as humanity, and we are here to help awaken and to bring light and to bring love and to bring truth and to bring healing into these spaces, not only around us where we are called to be of service, but within ourselves. So, this is a great time to start seeing things really deeply symbolically. Look at where, if you're seeing duality, if you're seeing war, have a look at where those conflicts are happening inside your own life and where you can start to find that center line where you're in communication with divinity, where there is wholeness, where there is warmth, and let that be the place that you start creating from, that you start actioning from, that you spend all day if you need to getting into, and knowing that that's the space where you have infinite resources, infinite energy to create this new world that we're all participating in. And this is where I feel too, I'm loving that a lot of these spiritual, well, they're laws, it is law that govern these spiritual planes. We're starting to feel them within our body. We're starting to feel them within our being. And that's this responsibility piece, right? It's not just an idea or a mental concept. It's actually starting to settle into the base, into the sacral, into the solar plexus. And that is where we see shifts and changes in the physical world. And this is what we're here for. We've noted this on our individual level. You might have felt this in your eye. I've done all this work inside and I really want to start seeing changes in my everyday life. This is where we talk about the grounding. This is where we talk about taking action on what's going on inside of you, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not as big and grand and sparkly as you thought it would be. We chip away at this day after day, but we do so from that place of centeredness with curiosity, and we're cleaning up the fear, the resistance, the freeze, the stuff that's kept us stuck, the stuff that has been pulling on our power or distracting us. And none of this is malevolent. We don't want to look at this in that way. This is about what have I been missing here? And I think we're seeing through the cracks. I feel like there are almost like different slides where if you're watching a movie and you turn away for 10 seconds, you might miss the part that joins together the whole sequence. And it was a very different story like this. So you bring all parts, body, mind, soul, and all of a sudden you have a completely different picture. And the moment it clicks, it's like an epiphany. It moves through the whole system. There's a different kind of alignment that happens here. So I also feel that alignment is happening on a spinal level as well. I feel like there can be an emphasis on posture, meaning you might have felt tight, sore, perhaps stronger in one part of your body and not the other. So there's kind of a balancing that's taking place here on a physical level too. You might be that you're someone that eats really healthy 5 days a week and you get to the weekend and you binge and you're drinking heaps of alcohol and you're doing all these other things that kind of just add this toxic load to your system, the body's going to say, I've had enough. And this is where I mean that kind of like flipping that can take place now, where there's almost an experience that comes in to awaken you because your soul's had enough. It's almost like you've done this on repetition now. So I like this. It feels like divine intervention, even if it's challenging. You've all had those experiences where you can look back on your life and go, oh, I'm really grateful for that experience, even though it was hard. It was one of the biggest initiations that I've gone through, and I feel more myself now than ever. I wrote down the word obsession, I'm going to get put that to the side just for a moment, actually, because they're bringing me back to this alignment piece when it comes to the spinal part. And I feel like this is really important because they just want to talk about the body here a little bit. There's a little bit of an emphasis around the throat. I feel this with glands as well. They're also bringing attention to the mouth, to teeth, to tongue, to gums. I almost feel like oral health is something that's coming up this month. Whether that's something that is like the channel or the gateway of the mouth, being mindful with expression. I feel almost hesitant to say it in that way because I really want to encourage you to speak your truth into the world, but there can be a slowing down that's kind of taking place here, a mindfulness, an intent to speak from heart. I sort of feel like there's a rinsing out or a washing out of what I'm feeling like almost like delivery. I also feel like this has a bit to do with the respiratory system, with breath. There can be a deeper commitment to purification of your own breath cycle, of strengthening the body so as that it's able to give you the best opportunity it's got to feel good, to feel vital, to feel alive, to feel healthy, to feel well. There's less resistance here. And there's almost like a place because we're creating space, because we're creating warmth. There's opportunity to create healthy patterns, healthy habits, things that kind of take you into a space of alignment more quickly. My partner did this with me last night. He was like, remember that breath? I got stressed about something. He was like, take a deep breath in and then a little bit more. And he was like, now out of your mouth. And we kind of did this a couple of times. I was like, yeah, yeah, okay, cool, got it, thanks. He was like, no, 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 keep going. And he kind of like guided me to the space where I was in that next little bit of relaxation. And I was like, oh, that was awesome. Thank you. So I kind of feel like we're pushing to just that next little bit where we actually feel a real physiological and almost like a somatic response to the work. And I love that because we're very aware of the physical body this month and the etheric too, meaning that that can bring up the empathic part that we've spoken about as well. So intending not to merge with the collective would be a really beautiful intention this month. If you do find yourself aware, knowing there's an opportunity to add perhaps a prayer um, to contribute in some way, but then not to be swept up in it unconsciously. We want to be very mindful about what's going on here. Anything else with the physical body here? A little bit around the bladder. I feel like for some of you that can be in regards to relationships. I want you to listen to your body and how it speaks. Relationships can come in and around the bladder. There's a feeling here of and perhaps this is a change in communication when it comes to intimacy. If you're not feeling like being intimate right now, it's okay to have a little bit of a break from this. Sometimes it's nice just to feel your own body and your being, to let some of that energy move into a space of creativity so it's not all being released all the time. So perhaps that could be a conversation around orgasm. If you see that again, almost in the volcanic, like the eruption, perhaps there's more of a pacing with some of this. There's just a little bit of energy around there. I want you to be mindful with bladder, be mindful with kidneys, be mindful of some of these organs that are deeply affected by the emotional body. There's also evidence in some of those organs this month for some of you. If this is manifested all the way out to the skin on the surface where there's itchy, irritated, it might be nice to again get some external support, bringing in and bridging that emphasis around words, around talking, around sharing. It can just help with the digestion of the information and your experience to arrive at a space of warmth. So warmth is a lovely intention. Warmth, nice open heart, nice cavey like spaces. It's about nurturing, it's about compassion, it's about the holding. I can see this with the mothers, you know, and their newborns, and just this lovely, soft sort of energy that's coming away from some of the hardness and the pressures when it comes to I almost just feel like the expectations that humanity have of themselves, and we're looking at really what's important right now. For some of you, for some reason, I'm going to bring up this obsession piece. I think this also comes with addiction, deeply related to the emotional body. If there has been some form of obsession, some kind of fantasy, some sort of repetition in an addiction to looping to something, perhaps in the past, perhaps as a possibility, perhaps as the potential perfect partner, someone you haven't been able to let go of, a particular feeling inside of the system. There's an eruption here this month. It's almost like this building of the pressure. This is the volcano. It's like a cyst bursting almost, where you can't grab a hold of that thing anymore. Sometimes that means we need a little bit more support when it comes to supporting the nervous system. So say you were to put down an addiction this month, we need to look at what it is we've been avoiding feeling, and if there are extra tools and extra resources that we need to bring into the space in order to learn how to feel. So, in this warmth, in this repatterning, in this conscious reprogramming, there is also a space that opens up for deeper feeling. This creates deeper intimacy in those relationships where there is a lot of safety. I sense too there's a beautiful vulnerability where there might have been fear of oversharing because there was, oh no, what would that person think? It's kind of just, well, this is who I am and I'm sharing what's on my heart and I'm just letting it go and I'm moving on. And because we're moving into a space where the intuition and the sensing body is becoming so much louder, we feel the experience of not being in center or not being in the present, the dramatic impact of what that has on our overall well-being. And so I feel like this is a really beautiful spot to almost start to wind things up. And perhaps in your own imagination, as a beautiful tool, you can begin to see this volcano and these eruptions that are taking place on the planet and how that lava resets and creates these new foundations. Don't see them black and barren. See this as a space where new life is beginning to form and where there is opportunity here to really create a new way of living, being, doing, relating that is deep, that is meaningful, that is intimate, but that is of soul. And that means that there is gift revelation here when we're looking at the soul, we're looking at your contracts. Why are you here? What have you come here to do? And if you've been sitting down waiting for someone to bring something into your life and fix this part for you, it's not going to happen that way. So this is the shaking and the rumbling that you need to go, all right, I'm standing up, I'm doing this. I can't sit here any longer obsessing about this, and this that's been draining my power. Come back from here. You're calling yourself back into your body this month. It's a huge, big thing. And it's really nice to have these intimate spaces where the language of symbology is felt and understood. If you're spending time with people and you're having conversations and you're like, oh my gosh, that person just does not understand me anymore, it's time to say goodbye and see this as I'm freeing up space, and that person also gets space freed up in their life to go and connect with other people that are vibrating on the same kind of reality that they are. So the challenging things, see them as divine intervention. And then we're working with warmth internally in our own body and being, internally as a collective. This is about where can you contribute kindness. Think of this as that light, warm, pinky kind of colors that come into spaces where, even if it's with expression, perhaps it's more in a space of listening, where you just give somebody your presence. And just kind of finishing off here, there was one more little note here around deja vu. I feel like this is funny because my partner and I watched The Matrix last night for the first time in ages. I might not have watched this for a decade. Oh gosh, it was so good. It's almost closer to the truth of our reality than the one we see in our physical. Fascinating and very enlightening. There was something that they said around deja vu, and that not necessarily an experience that has happened before, which is our perception of this, but deja vu being something that we experience when there has been a change or a shift in the matrix. And so we have our own matrix, and then we're a part of a bigger matrix, and we're seeing these glitches this month. Oh, there's been a huge, big shift here. So it's okay, even though there is chaos happening in the rest of the world. You will feel a sense of ease in your body if you're contributing to that empathic reaction you're supposed to be having because you feel for the people on the planet. So how are you contributing to that part? With that, you'll feel soothed, you'll feel a sense of relief, like it's never going to fix the whole. We need to be realistic here. But if you're responding to the part where you can contribute, you'll feel a sense of relaxation. And what we're going to notice very quickly is that these changes and these transformations that are happening as light workers all over the world are working and have been working for quite some time at making changes right down to the grids beneath, underneath, is that we are beginning to see the threads of things that start to blossom and bloom from these new structures and these new foundations that are forming. So I think this is a really beautiful thing. Just kind of finishing off there too, they're just taking me underground. I think there's a bit of an emphasis on the underground. A time for grounding, as we spoke about before. For some of you, that might be even as intense as, carrying around something like this. Grounding mats, activities, walks in nature, the simple sort of stuff that just helps you take a bit of an exhale at the end of the day and bring your energy back into your body. You'll notice this with health stuff too, if that's something you've really been struggling with, that this can kind of manifest as aches and pains and things because there's not enough energy or vitality inside of the system for it to be running fluidly. So again, breath, breathing, that kind of depth is, there's great opportunity to experience being grounded in a more fulfilling way. Crystals feel amplified as well right now. I'm sure this is a collective thing because I keep seeing them in people's readings too. So perhaps the crystal kingdom in itself is here to contribute something different, something new right now. It'd be a lovely place as a channeler to pass on messages and things from rocks, to meditate with them, to have conversations with them. It feels to me like this almost like wisdom keepers. There's a lot of magic within our world, in our natural kingdom, that provides the medicine that we as humanity need as a whole. We need permission. These higher dimensions work with will. So don't be afraid to ask spirit, to ask your higher self, your guides, the angels, to assist us right now. It is a great time of eruption. And, I'm anticipating that there are a lot of changes happening, not all easy ones, mind you. But we have to trust that this is, the great purge that helps to reset the whole. And, it's our intention to hold the light, to hold that vision of a beautiful future and this new earth that we're kind of grounding in. And I know that language can sound really triggering. And it can feel like a bit of a bypass at times, but try connect with the heart of that and, bring about warmth wherever we can. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Faye. You can find me not only on YouTube, I'll be uploading this audio today is the first time on Spotify, where it obviously doesn't come with a video. If you're listening over here, welcome. You can find me on Instagram, and I am currently enrolling for the House of Mystics. The House of Mystics is an online school for empaths, intuitives that are wanting, needing, and excited to receive support, knowledge, wisdom, and practices in an online space that naturally awaken your psychic abilities, but will help you expand into a new level of consciousness that takes you closer to the embodiment of your and fulfillment of your soul contracts, providing deeper meaning, deeper understanding, unraveling this language of soul and symbolism that we naturally know how to read, that takes us deeper to the truth. So this is about leaning into what's behind the physical reality, the structures that create our physical reality, so that we can make permanent transformation and change, so that we can continue to awaken, build a relationship with your higher self, with your spirit guides, if that's there for you, and develop these senses that help us communicate with the non-physical world with energy. So if that's something that interests you, this starts in October. I'll be closing enrollments partway through September, just to get that container nice and sealed. It goes for 4 months with a 2-week break over Christmas, and it's all recorded and uploaded to a portal on Teachable that you'll have access to for a whole year. So this is an amazing opportunity, no matter where you are in the world, all English speaking. Students are absolutely welcome to come into this beautiful space and learn with other like-hearted beings. All right, lots of love for you in August. I'm also available for one-on-one readings if that's something that you need right now. And if not, I wish you well, and I will see you in the same spot next month. All right, lots of love.